Well, welcome back into the studio for Mixed Media Basics. So this month we are going to be talking about glues, and specifically liquid type glues. Now that might be a stick, like a glue stick. It's just not tape glues. So anyways, these are my favorite glues. They're not always my go-to, but in all the different types of liquid glues, these are my favorite, my go-to for all different reasons. And I'm going to talk about each of them. I will not be talking price here. It's kind of irrelevant anyways, but I will have links for all these products listed down below per usual, so that you can see what current price points are out there and how to find the products and etc. Yeah, so that is where we're going to get started for this month's Mixed Media Basics. Now I do need to tell you about a few changes happening in the new year. I will only be doing Mixed Media Basics when a topic comes up that makes itself apparent. So what I need you to do, if there's something that you're wanting more information about in the realm of mixed media art, please bring it to my attention. You can leave a comment, you can email me, you can comment on any of my videos. Although I don't always have time to respond, I do read all the comments. So if you are looking for information on a specific product or want to know how I use a specific product, then ask away. I'd be happy to, or if you want to put products against each other and see how they perform so you can make decisions about, like now I'm going to talk about these glues so you can make an informed decision about what works best for you, then please leave me a comment down below in the description box or send me an email. My email address is down below in the description box. If you want to send me that information, that would be great. So I will not be having it a regular every other month in 2025 of Mixed Media Basics. I will only have Mixed Media Basics on months that I don't do a Technique Tuesday, and only if I get requests. So that's how Mixed Media Basics is going to work moving forward. But Technique Tuesday will be continuing on, and our next Technique Tuesday will be in December of 2024, and then start up once again in February of 2025. And that will be going through the whole year of 2025 every other month. And yeah, I think that's it. So we're going to dive in, and I'm going to talk about each one of these glues and why I like it and why I don't always go to it, or why it's my always use. And yeah, we'll get into the nitty-gritty right here. Alright, so the first I'm going to talk about is the glue stick and this substance is so we're going to talk about the glue stick, and then subsequently we're going to talk about Yes Paste, which is kind of like a glue stick in a jar. So we're going to do some collaging on the right side of this card using the glue stick, and then we'll do some on the left side with the Yes Paste. I do carry the Oohoo in my shop, and I do have my bits basket here to pull from to do collage. So there's all different types of papers in here. So here's some tissue, so we'll see how that goes. Here's some just regular weight paper. These are old stickers. And, oops, we'll put those down because they're a little bit heavier. They're almost like a cardstock. That'll give us a good representation for the glue stick. Now, how you are supposed to use a glue stick is you apply it either to the base or the paper that you're gluing. It's hard with tissue to use a glue stick if you're applying it to the tissue. And then you lay it onto your surface and then you rub it. This activates the glue stick. This activates the glue. You generate a little bit of heat, and that's what activates it. I do have problems with glue sticks, but I have to say that out of all the glue sticks I have tried, the only one I like is this Uhu. It is not my go-to. I do not find it easy to use. I have stick everywhere if you apply it to the surface. If you can't apply it to the item that you're trying to glue, which is this tissue, is much more challenging. And if you're gluing it like this, then I get it all over my background surface. I should have put down a mat to catch that. And with heavier papers, it's hard to generate that heat that you need to go through to activate that. If you don't do that, or if you miss, this will pop off. And I never use a glue stick if it's something I'm gonna sell, unless I add layers on top that help adhere it. I do not use the glue stick because in time, I can guarantee you, no matter what glue stick you use, this is gonna pop off. So now that has been my experience. It's kind of nice to use it this way, although you get your fingers all icky. And I don't like glue on my fingers. I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say that because I don't mind matte medium on mine, but this is thicker and I don't know. So, and I'm gonna get that down and rub. You wanna get some additional rub on these thicker ones so that it generates some heat and get it through that. So that is the glue stick. It's handy when you're traveling. I have put my go-to glue into a smaller container so that I can travel with it because this just is not my preferred method. I just run into too many things I don't like about it. But it is, out of all the glue sticks out there, this is the best, and it is acid-free, solvent-free. So it's the best one on the market, definitely. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is Yes Paste. Yes Paste is like all the good things about the glue stick. It has a thick consistency. You have that stick immediately. You don't have to use your fingers. You can use a palette knife. However, I must say, don't use a plastic one. It's very thick. It's a paste. It's super thick paste. So I usually use my my metal palette knives, and you can, and really a little bit goes a long way on this. This is my second container of Yes Paste, but I bought this eons ago. It's just not something that I go to as often because I found other glues that I have a tendency to like better. So it's the same thing. With the tissue, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to apply it, but you can see it a lot better, and you know because it's got that little bit of shine to it, and you aren't tearing stuff. And now I'm being smart to use an under paper so my surface doesn't get all icky. And I like it better than adding the glue to the surface in these instances. So here is the tissue paper. Again, it helps it if you add some heat to it. It is still a stick. It's considered a stick glue, just like this glue stick. It's just in non-glue stick form. So then in a little bit heavier weight paper, make sure you get good coverage. Get that laid down. This is really good for super heavy weight items as well. That's one area where this is will beat out a glue stick, because you can add additional more, I should say. You can add more at one time to whatever it is you're applying. So let's say you want to add, let's see here if I've got anything heavy. Here's something that's heavy. So this is a flashcard. It's even heavier than this is. I don't know if you can hear that. So this is great, and we just add just a tad thicker of an application to it. Still want to get to all the edges. With heavier weight items, I don't feel like I need to lay it down and go off the edges. I can just hold on to it. It's easier. And then you can apply it. And really, you just, at this point, you just need to press it in. It's going to spuge out if you got it real thick. The nice thing about this as well is you can tack set this by just adding a little bit of heat to it, and that will tack set it, especially if you're doing something like a focal point, like Tim Holtz paper doll. They're thick. You can use this paste for that. Apply it, get it on where you want it to live, and then add a little bit of heat to it, and from the back especially, because it's going to go through this one layer to where the glue is, whereas here it's going to be going through possibly multiple layers here. So you're just going to tack set it, and that is Yes Paste. Again, it's one of my favorites. I don't go to it all the time, but it is one of my favorites. And of course, again, I will have links down below. It is also acid free. It's also much more cost effective than this tube. So, I think this comes in only in this pint. And it's not much more expensive than a couple of these sticks. And these are just, well, this is the 1.41 ounce tube, so it is the largest tube that this comes in, the Yoo-hoo. All right, so that gives you an idea of Yes Paste and the Yoo-hoo glue stick. The next thing we're going to talk about is fluid medium. So we're going to go to the other side, the most lightweight of glues. So let me get another sample card for this. The fluid medium is really good for lightweight stuff, such as tissue. Let's see if we can find something different. Here's some deli paper. That would be really good. Even this would be good. This is kind of a lightweight paper. Here's some craft paper, just regular like paper. I don't even think this is paper bag material. I'm not quite sure what that's from. Maybe some underpaper, craft underpaper. And here's some vintage notebook paper. Now, it is also good for regular weight vintage papers or even rice paper. Let's see if I have. I'll do rice paper. So it is really fantastic for vintage papers, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, I use Golden Fluid Matte Medium, and I'll link in the upper right hand corner right here to where I talk about the different brands of fluid medium. And from that, I discovered that I used to use Liquitex Fluid Medium, but now I've gone to Golden. And you can see all those reasons in that video. So I move mine into this squeeze tube. This is just like a ketchup dispenser. And I just pour it directly from here in here. It's real easy to pour in because it is so fluid. I let this get totally empty, and then I clean the bottle out and the nib out, which is kind of gunky, but I am almost at the end here, and then I'll fill it with this. So what I really like about this is that with vintage papers, the vintage papers soak up a ton of glue, and the fluid medium just will get soaked in because it's so lightweight. It will get really soaked into what you're applying it to. So the neat thing is you can apply directly on your surface, and more is better. It's kind of my rule of thumb. And you can move the glue around all the way to the edges. Let it soak into your brush, and then you're gonna apply your pieces, and then you're gonna come over the top and just really let that vintage paper soak it in. It's gonna adhere beautifully, and look at that. I just love the satiny quality to this, the Golden Medium Fluid Medium. This is a piece of rice paper. And rice paper is very high in cotton content, and it really soaks stuff up. So that is where you want to really use, where this type of glue really shines. Now this is kind of like, it's like a tissue, but it's very, it feels more like a napkin almost, so it's going to absorb a ton. We're just going to add more. And you see how that's already started to soak that up? Just lay it in, and then you want to kind of fan out from the center with tissue or napkins, so you don't have, unless you want a lot of wrinkles or tears, that's fine too. Another thing that works really nicely with fluid medium is this is deli paper. So if you have lots of papers like ledger papers, those will glue beautifully with the fluid medium. And you usually want to come over the top, unless there's something that's water soluble on it, then you may want to refrain, but it really will do a wonderful job adhering papers to each other if you come over the top. Here's some craft bag. Gonna use up the rest of this today, I think, or get close to it. Some papers, the older they are, sometimes they'll get a little bit of color, like darken up a little bit, but as soon as it dries, they go back to normal. So you can see even on that craft paper, it darkened a tad, but not much. So this is a little bit heavier than what we've used here, and it should do just fine with this as long as we put it under and over it. We're going to let this be a little bit thicker. and then go over the top. I'm going to get it right into those edges where it's, because it's thicker than the rest, and just let it be and let it dry that way. I love fluid medium, and especially when I'm working with vintage papers, because there's just such a beautiful high content of cotton in it. So that is the fluid medium. All right, and that is the brand that I prefer. All right, so now we're going to talk about Bearly Arts glue. This one is a glue that Ricky Midbird over at the Bricolage Factory taught me about, and I really love this glue. I have a love-hate relationship with this top, but that is really the primary reason why I use the glue, is because of the precision nib. You have to keep something in it or it will clog. I do have, oops, wrong one. I do have a thing to keep it up in, so it is, the glue is always in the tip. That is very, I feel like is a must, or else I'm fighting the glue downage. I only use this glue when I need a sparing amount, or when I'm using it where it's a fine area to apply glue. So let's say I'm applying this to this surface of this card, then I would use this to apply it to. If I have words that I want to put down at the very end of an art journal, then I would use the Bearly Arts. And just easy to apply. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah. Can you see it? Oh my goodness. There you go. So I just apply it across my words, something that might be on my focal point. One and done. I always use glue on stickers. So these are stickers, however, they're really old and they've lost most of their stick. So I'm collaging with them today, but it's a good example of something that you can use the Bearly Arts glue for. If this was part of my focal, I would probably use it on this as well, because it's a small item. Oops. Guess there was a little stick left to that one. So that's how why I use the Bearly Arts. If you have a fine liner like this, and you have a fluid medium, you could add this to your fine liner and use it just like I'm using the Bearly Arts. The thing I like about it is that I can change this nib out. I can change this top, but it's a lot more expensive. Unless you get a refill bottle and just are refilling this bottle with the glue, then anytime you buy it, it'll come with a new nib. I like that because, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with that precision nib. It gets clogged a lot of the time, even when I use my needle to keep it clear and free. And I do regularly use my needle. Now, this fine liner comes with a long thin thing that goes in the cap that goes down into this, so that does keep it clog free. But I have a tendency to hit a clog and not realize it and just cram it, and then I bend this, and then once that's bent, yeah, it's not happening. So I just kind of use it just for, I have one in white and I have another one in black and I have one in brown that I use. So that's the Barely Art glue. The other one I'm going to talk about alongside this is Fabri-tac. I love Fabri-tac. I love Fabri-tac for when I'm adding things. So for most fabrics, I will use Fabri-tac unless it's thin fabric. If it's thin fabric, if you have such thin fabric that you're going to see the glue come through, then I do not use Fabri-tac. I have a tendency to go to double tack film, and I will link that. It's a graphics product and I will link it down below. Otherwise, I use Fabri-tac to glue fabric 90% of the time. There are instances, and we're going to talk about that, when I don't use Fabri-tac to adhere fabric, besides the thin fabric thing. I will also use Fabri-tac in a pinch to glue things that are heavier weight down. I also have a stand for it because it's thicker. It's a thick glue, and you're going to be waiting forever for it to get to this end. Now this is a brand new bottle, so I haven't had that problem yet. And it's stringy, and it will automatically start to come out unless you have this lid on. So I kind of try and take advantage of that and then just kind of swipe it off, get what I think I'm going to need on the whole thing, lay it down, add the lid, and go. And then I just take my finger and I kind of swipe it out to the edges. I don't use it like this a lot because Fabri-tac is a little bit more on the expensive side, rather than using my favorite, all-time favorite glue, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. And the neat thing about Fabri-tac is you can tack it. That's what the tack is. So I can come in with my blow dryer and add some heat to it from both sides, and it will tack it. So if you have a big thing of fabric you're applying, or let's say I'm gonna take a glump of threads, maybe not that big a glump of threads, we have a small card, Nina. I love threads. I love using them in all kinds of ways. So let's say I want to add this. This is some leftover blue jean threads from when I cut some blue jean material, and I don't need to do that because this is a brand new bottle. I just will apply it to the center and just find where I want to put it and glump it down. The cool thing about that is whatever fibers are caught in that big glump that we put down, it'll hold it. If there's another piece that I need a little bit, I can even take a skewer to get some glue and then add it where I want to put this piece of fabric, thread. The other thing about Fabri-tac is if you get some outside of what you're gluing, it will dry glossy. So if you don't like that, the skewer comes in handy. You can see that that's what I use this skewer for. This is all gumped up glue that has gotten discolored by other things along the way. But this is Fabri-tac on here. And I just go in and I grab it. It comes out real easy. Grab it, pull it out, and then wipe my skewer. So I can go in again and pull it out, and so I don't see that glump. That's a handy thing. If I want to glue something heavier, let's say like this, if I wanted to glue this on here, I could use Fabri-tac. I may want to reinforce it by like using the brads here or something like that, if it's that big, but something like this I would definitely feel comfortable adhering that, or even a bread tie. or even a pull tab. Although this is a metal, and I would actually use a different glue for that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But that is Fabri-tac. It is great for adhering chipboard pieces. Yeah. So let's say I want to adhere this chipboard piece. Then I would just do exactly what I did here, put some glue on it, take my finger and kind of wipe it all around and press it in. And it will glue beautifully. That is definitely something I would use to glue chipboard pieces, as well as fabric. And that it's pretty much a go-to that I use in art journaling all the time. I use this a lot. It kind of goes hand in hand. I'm finishing up a piece, getting a focal point down, and these are my go-to at that point. But when I'm starting off doing collage work, whether it's on an art journal or index cards, or if I'm doing it on a large piece, I generally 9 out of 10 times go to TCW's matte medium gel. You can tell this has seen lots of love. So this is my go-to. This is my favorite collage glue, and it will hold all the things that we've tried. If I were to, I don't prefer to use it with fabric pieces or threads, and I don't prefer to use it on heavy things like this or even on chipboards. But all weights of papers, for the most part, I will glue down with matte medium gel. It is a beautiful consistency. It runs a little on the thick side. So if I need it to be thinner, I'll come in with a wetter brush. Yeah. It is definitely my go-to glue. So I usually glue straight down onto my paper and then come in with whatever I'm collaging and glue that down. Add the glue to the top. Even for these items, you can see I missed a little bit here with that Fabri-tac, and come in and glue that sticker down. Do another one. It is really handy if you need to build it up around the edges to make sure it's stuck. You can do that just like you did the matte or the fluid medium. It is a great, I just love the consistency of this glue. I do sell this in my shop. I will link it down below. It is my favorite. As long as I have good got it on all edges. I'm trying to glue this down to my underpaper. As long as I get it on all edges, then I have not had any lift up. I feel very confident that this glue is going to keep some stuff adhered that I sell. And I feel very confident about that. Yeah. All-time favorite right there. And if I art daily, I'm using this daily. That's how much I use it. Things I wish. I wish that TCW would sell it in a larger tub than the 8 ounce. That's the only thing I wish, is that you could get it in a larger tub for people like me that use it all the time. And that's why I sell it, is because I use so much of it. I go through it. But I'm confident in it. And it dries clear. It's awesome. Okay, the next glue that I'm going to talk about is E6000. E6000 is a staple in this house. It is, yeah. If I'm gluing down metal pieces, if I'm gluing down wood pieces, if I'm gluing down ceramic pieces, plastic pieces that have any kind of bulk and weight or odd shape to them, I use E6000. My whole household uses E6000 as a universal glue. It does have a bit of a smell. They do have a new version of it out, which does not have the smell, but I haven't purchased it yet. And I do sell this in my shop, but I can't get my hands on it any longer. So what I have is all I have. I have it in the smaller, this is the larger tube. I have it in a smaller tube. It's not much smaller than this, but it does come with the precision tips if that's something you're interested. I don't really have an issue with it. So I'm gonna take one of these pull tabs and sometimes I have to use my pliers to get this undone because I've glued it. So it's real stringy. It is clear. It does come in you can get it in black. And I just scrape a little bit off onto my piece. And get it all in all the areas that are going to touch, and sometimes I don't even worry about if it's in areas that don't touch the card. I just make sure that it has ample enough to stick. The other thing that's awesome about E6000 is you can tack it with heat. So we can apply it. Now that's up off of the surface a great deal. I should have pinched that shut a little bit more. Close your ears. I'm just pounding this down so it gets closer to the card because it had a lip on it. So now you can see here, do you see the spuge of the glue out from that side there? I'm gonna take care of that. So I'm going to come around with my skewer and grab that so that we don't see it when it dries. And like I said, it comes up really easy. There's some more right here. You can paint on top of it though, once it's dry. There we go. So then we can take heat and blow from the back and tack it, but like you can see, it's already on there. So E6000, awesome glue, love it. Keep it handy all the time. It's right at my disposal. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about Fabri-tac's universal medium. All right, so Fabri-tac's universal medium as a glue. This is really an awesome glue, especially if you're gluing something that already has Fabri-tac on it. And so I have these papers that I'm going to collage down onto this card, and they have all got Fabri-tac products on them, specifically universal medium. So they also have some color and other things on them as well, pigments, that kind of thing, bisters. So I like to use this if I'm working with Universal Medium or other Fabri-tac products, but also just for collage, this works nicely, especially when you're gluing something that already has Fabri-tac on it. So I'm just going to grab, now this is the ivory. You could use the transparent or whatever color you wish to use. And I'm just gonna, do I want that side? No, yeah. So I'm just gonna brush the Fabri-tac on the back of this. I'm just taking it straight from the bottle. You could use it in a cup, but I suggest you use something that is you can throw away or let the Fabri-tac dry, and then you can peel it out. So on this, I'm just putting it on the back because I'm using the ivory and I don't want to make any changes to the color of this paper that I have. This has a very thin layer on it. Now if I wanted to be able to go over the top and seal it in, I would use the transparent instead of the ivory like I am here. And there we go. Fabri-tac Universal Medium as a glue. So I thought the best way to demonstrate to you how I use the PVA glue for bookbinding is to actually show you some footage of me bookbinding. So this is a journal. This is called A Year of the Book. It's made out of a yearbook and some cantha cloth. So here I'm mostly using it for the actual binding parts. So where I'm adding the cloth to the cover, creating a new spine, and then the back cover, which are yearbooks. I want to have good adherence. I want to make sure that everything's stuck, everything is coated, because this glue will stand test of time. Now I don't always use the PVA glue with fabric, but almost always I use it when I'm binding my journals in some way or another. A lot of times I will put the PVA glue into a cup, add a little water so it will flow a little bit better, and then use a brush and brush it in the back. On this one I just put it in because it's cantha cloth, so it's a lot of layers of fabric, and it's okay if it gets a little thick. And then I just use a palette knife to spread it around, and then I got the back of the fabric laid down, and then I lay the other pieces on top. And this is typically how I use PVA to bind my art journals. If I do any other kind of binding, like perfect binding, I will also use the PVA to do that. So yeah, I hope that this has been a good resource for you on some of the glues that are out there, what I choose to use in my art practice, and why. If there is any other kind of information that you want regarding Mixed Media Basics, you can leave comments down below in any of the videos that just say Mixed Media Basics, this is what I would like to learn about. Thank you for coming along and spending your time with me.